What's up, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Moving with Life. Andy here, and today is Thursday. I had been doing okay about kind of staying on schedule, and I fell a little behind, but we're here, and it's good. And with that, it helps me transition to the main point, which the term that had come up first was like hustle. And I'm like, well, I don't like the word hustle because I feel like nowadays it's finally, and people still use it and people will still say it, but I feel like it's finally getting kind of phased out. And you can mix it with discipline and some of the even some of the things that I've brought this week. But the biggest thing that I'm trying to navigate really is effort and focus, but then not burning out. I've tried, I've tried batching where I'll record several episodes in a day. I'll just I'll space those out over the next few weeks, and I've done that before. But once I get to that next time that I need to record, either something's changed, or maybe I feel like the episodes aren't even relevant anymore. I just, especially given the algorithm and given bottomless scrolling and stuff like that. So I can also work, let's just say 5 hours straight on, let's say, whether it's homework, whether it's a podcast ideas. I can brainstorm for days, and either it doesn't get done, which I've talked about before in its own way, but or in a day where I spend 5 hours just going down a rabbit hole on something. Then I frankly, when it comes to the podcast, I don't want to talk. I tried to record this episode actually yesterday, Wednesday, but I had a couple errands to do after school, after I got done with class, and frankly, that burnt out my social meter. Today, it's been a little simpler. I got done with my midterm, professor, let's go, and here we are. Here I am, prepping. I had already prepped the show again because I wanted to record it yesterday, but it just didn't. Again, my social media was gone, and for me, this includes my social media. Just I'm learning that even talking, I have only so much bandwidth of words that I can give a day. There's that. Now I find myself, now let's change the spectrum, and now I find myself in a lull. For me, I get so, and draggy is not a word, but I get very draggy. I get very slow, and then eventually it affects my mental health. Because then I just feel like I have too much time to think. So I myself come back and forth between these two things of like giving myself too much time to think, with then going to the point of burnout where I'm like, okay, I just need a break. And here we are, months later, or I haven't opened a book in months, which I think books and podcast recording are part of the top two that I've enjoyed doing over the past long term, past, let's say, 10 years. I've enjoyed it. And yet, if I go too far one way or the other, then the work doesn't get done. And then I go into like, oh, I could have had this, I could have had all of this done. I could have had 1,000 episodes by now. I have the time, but I don't have the bandwidth. When it comes to the effort part, going back to, getting tired, or I want a break. I will say, especially, and it's gotten easier as I've gotten older, is with the podcast, with going back to school, with finding my next read. Sleep is so important, and it really is important. But for me, and again, I think for me it just ties in from I talked about this, but it just ties in from my medical experience and just where that comes from. I think that's a big foundation as to my want to get fast sleep, so then I can do this. I can read a book. I can have my family time. I can get my errands done first thing in the morning. And Matt, I think his name's Matt Walker. He's done his own sleep research. I'm pretty sure I think I saw him first on Joe Rogan. He's been on Andrew Huberman, a bunch of other podcasts. So you can go down that rabbit hole as far as like sleep and importance, and like how that ties into alcohol and other things, and how your body gets affected by that, and then you have low quality sleep. But the biggest thing for me when it comes to effort and focus and tying in that sleep, the rest element is when I think about the goals I have, things I'd like to do, whether it's individual accomplishments and then things that really it encompasses family time, just traveling and all these other things, and I want to do those things, and there is no balance. That's another thing that I'm learning. There is no balance, but with restful sleep, with having goals that I'm like, this is worth it to me. How can I not burn out, but how can I try to show up every day? So that's what I'm working on. That's a big element, and even we can tie in a theme even from the book of Genesis, where work 6 days and on the seventh day he rested. That has a whole different tale, which I'll probably go into on a Wednesday episode. But there's a line here that came up in the script, and I really like it. It says, "Rest isn't punishment for working; it's protection from burnout." A little real world thing that I've been doing lately, as best I can, is at 9 o'clock, work is shut down. As far as like school, meaningful work in that respect. Last hour, I try to read a few pages. Even if I don't read a full page, or if I don't read a full chapter or anything like that, but if I can start slowing it down for the day, 9 o'clock is generally that hard stop of like, okay, I'm not gonna make my brain try to learn anything anymore for today. Well, this is the rest of this will be a tomorrow problem. And some of my friends that will hear this will understand that, where it sounds like a tomorrow problem. Oh, that can definitely wait till Monday. Sounds like a Monday problem. Today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. It's like, oof. All right, what's super, super important? What needs to absolutely get done? That's vital to like success in the mission. And then it's like, okay, like what are the extra things that I want to get done? But it's gonna wait till Monday. As I wrap up today's episode and the thoughts behind resting, recovery, effort, focus, not burning out, trying my best to not burn out, and yet still do the things that I want to do and the things I need to do. There's a quote here I found. It says, "If you've been going nonstop, give yourself permission to pause, not to quit, but to recover." And that makes me think of grace, having grace with yourself, having a pause to be like, hey, was I productive today? Yes. Did I get the pertinent things done today? Yes. Okay. We'll stop and we'll jump into everything tomorrow. So with that, you can include a little bit of grace for yourself, and I've been told this, where in my thought process, not I was like mental, but my thought process but for a lot of things, it's like in all the clutter that may try to get into my brain, I try to filter it out, see what's important, see what's not, is give myself grace in the fact that I am trying, and me personally, I feel like that's selfish, but that comes with that effort, focus, giving yourself the time to rest and get meaningful sleep, and then hitting it the next day. Today's episode gave you a little sense of change. Hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button. Leave a comment if you know of a way that helps you know when you've hit a point to where like you need to rest. What helps you? What do you do that helps you continue the work the next day? Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you tomorrow. I hope. Keep moving life.